Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the PSGL YouTube channel. Now it is the turn of the F7 League to take centre stage for round 12 around the Circuit Gilles Villeneuve here in Montreal, Canada. My name is Jake, and I hope you're all having a fantastic evening. As always, just to remind you, PSGL is sponsored by Brutal Democracy, an esports organisation providing £250 worth of prize money across the top 3 tiers, and as always, a massive thank you to them for their continued support. We are into qualifying here at Canada, so let's just get everything set up as normal and see who will be the first to venture out onto the circuit. Looks like we've got Abiadun on the medium tyre, so I'll quickly go on board with him. And just very quickly, before we get stuck into tonight's action, let's have a quick recap. Last time out in F7, we raced at the Bahrain International Circuit, as Juice continued his ominous march up the standings after taking his third win in just 5 F7 starts. However, there were some surprises behind, with Prime Vizu and TTG Cowboy taking their very first podiums of the season in 2nd and 3rd respectively. Meanwhile, Championship contenders Game Freaker and Powdy also scored pretty solidly in 4th and 5th. However, there were connection problems for TNR Jonas, our Championship leader, meaning that they did not score any points, and he hopes that he has managed to address these issues going into tonight's race. And in terms of how the last race at Bahrain has affected the championship, TNR Jonas has seen his lead slip to just 7 points over his nearest challenger Game Freaker. Powdy stays third and is 16 points adrift of a Williams driver, but the one to watch out for is definitely Juice, and he will definitely be one to look out for, as he is really now, he's now on the same amount of points as Powdy, just 16 points behind championship leader, and as we've seen, his recent form has been absolutely superb. Let's go on board with Rowan, seeing as Abiadun has invalidated his lap. We'll go on board him quickly. And all of a sudden, the 1 point seemed like very distant championship hopes for Juice. All of a sudden look very likely now, and it'll be interesting to see how he copes with that pressure now, because he's very much in this championship picture, and that's probably the first time we could really say that since he's joined, so let's see how he gets on. Meanwhile, in the Constructors' Championship, McLaren have stretched their lead to 10 points over Mercedes, but this battle now is incredibly between 6 teams, as Williams, Racing Point, Renault and Alfa Romeo are all very much in contention too, and I've got absolutely no doubt that that fight will be going all the way to Brazil, which is in 2 weeks' time. And quickly coming on to our venue for tonight, we are racing at the Circuit Gilles Villeneuve. This track was opened in 1978 and has been home of the Canadian Grand Prix ever since. It's actually only been missing from the calendar on 2 separate occasions. Its 2.7 mile circuit features 14 corners, with 6 to the left and 8 to the right, and 3 DRS zones to promote overtaking, and a lap record of 1:13.078 from Valtteri Bottas set during last year's race. Fast chicanes, heavy braking zones and close walls are the tough challenges that set Montreal apart from most other tracks, and that's what awaits these F7 drivers over the next 35 laps. Juice has invalidated his lap as we start to focus in on qualifying, see who's on a lap at the moment, who might be close to completing it. I think Steph has invalidated. Let's follow Game Freak around. Spoke to him a little bit in the build-up, suggests he's not very confident around this track, and that this is almost like a damage limitation race for him. He hopes he'll exit this race tonight, just with him still being in contention for the title. He doesn't expect great things here. In terms of his season so far, he's had 2 wins, and other than that, he's not actually had any other podiums, so when he does get on the podium, it always seems to be on the top step. Based off his confidence levels going into tonight, this is not something he expects to happen here. His first lap time is good enough to put him 3rd. TNR Jonas has gone up to 2nd on the medium tyre, so that's an interesting opening lap. Let's go on board with Game Freaker's teammate, Hulkenberger. These two are desperate to win the Constructors' Championship, and although they're in a pound seat at the moment, there's a lot of drivers around them who have something to say about that. And so Hulkenberg's almost like he's trying to warm up his tyres on his flying lap. Doesn't look overly happy out there at the moment. He comes down this back straight now, heading towards this final chicane, a very tricky corner to get right. Very nicely navigated through that last chicane. What's his time going to do for him? It's taking a while to appear, and it's good enough for 4th as Prime Vizu goes up into 2nd place. Have we got anyone else? Let's have a look here with Norris on board of him in the Red Bull. Not somebody who I think has enjoyed their time so far. I wouldn't say in terms of results anyway, of course. I think sometimes their pace has been a little bit lacking, certainly in qualifying, and they'll be hoping to put that right here. This is a track, of course, where time penalties are an absolute, well, certainty, and it's almost going to be about trying to limit the amount of penalties you get over the course of this race, especially if we have a late safety car, and it'll be almost like penalties will decide the way this race goes as Norris goes into 10th place for the time being. Is Vapor King on another lap? Looks like they are. So we'll follow on board with the Haas driver. Couple of podiums earlier this season for Vapor King, but since then just has struggled. I think they've had 4 did not starts and 4 DNFs as well, so they've kind of struggled really for consistency. Other than those 2 podiums, but it just shows when they really hook it up, they've got a lot of pace. And what's his first lap going to do for Vapor King? It's good enough for 9th place. For the time being, we've got 2 Renault cars out on track. They went out a little bit later than some of those around them. And we've got Cowboy here, sorry. He's got a Red Bull just in front of him, so that'll be Norris. So hopefully Norris keeps them nicely out of Cowboy's way, which I think he is going to, yep. No problem there at all. Cowboy on his first hot lap of the session. Podium last time out at Bahrain. They were absolutely delighted with that one. And they'll look to continue the good momentum here with a lap time that's good enough to put him on provisional pole position. A 108.5, a nice lap from Cowboy there. And that'll definitely get his confidence up. I think he mentioned the build to this. He didn't particularly enjoy this track, driving around it, but that lap looked very nice as Powdy invalidates his lap over the final corner. That would have been a lap, I think, that would have put him pretty close to, yeah, it would have put him with his teammates. So the Renault's looking pretty competitive here in the early stages of qualifying. And let's follow Jonas on his lap. He did his opening lap time on the mediums, which based on that is a very quick time, but can he get a lap together on the soft tyre? An 18.9 first sector, already 4 temps up in the first sector alone. Ooh, just struggling now under traction, struggling to get the power down the back end of the car, wanting to snatch away from him. And this is another chicane where it can be just easy just to go slightly too much over the curb, but that looks pretty nice from the Williams there. Yeah, now half a second up, as long as he can keep things clean through the final chicane, he's looking good here to go into provisional pole. Of course, pressure will be very much on him here. Still got the championship lead, but didn't score last race, so really needs to pick up the results again, no question about that. And now into the final chicane. That was beautiful through there. That was absolutely perfect. This is going to be comfortably pole position. It's a 108.1, and that's going to take some beating. That's an absolutely stunning effort. You could just see it looked quick. Patuka was going quicker on his second lap, but has had to back off. So got the 5th of Mercedes driver, not too bad. We've got Game Freaker, who's invalidated his lap, as Tim Matt's just trying to find somebody who's on a lap who hasn't invalidated. Let's follow Juice. Of course, really the 4-man of F7 right now, looking pretty unstoppable, it has to be said. And if he can keep just winning races, he's going to be hard to stop for the title. But he'll have seen that Johnny's lap, and he'll know that he's very much up against it here if he does want to secure pole position. So 19.1 first sector, I believe that's just over a 10th off what the Williams managed through there. It looked a lot nicer though through that left-hander, and then right-hander didn't have as much traction problems as the Williams had. Oh, massive oversteer! Oh, Oh, I did well to keep it from having a massive crash there, I have to say, but that has put pay to his lap. He looked so smooth up to that point, but maybe just getting on traction a little bit too early cost him there. Trying to see what else we've got going on here. We've got Vizu, who's currently a tenth of a second up on what he did previously. What's Rowan up to? Rowan's a bit further on into his lap, so we'll go on board with the AlphaTauri. His teammate Abiadun has put in a nice lap there to go up into third place. Yet to score since his comeback, so we'll be very much hoping that that can turn around as Rowan locks up going into the hairpin. And now coming onto the back straight, Rowan is definitely up on his previous lap time. So as long as that hairpin mistake didn't cost him too much, he should be looking at moving up the field here. And round the final corner then for the AlphaTauri. Rowan was in fourth place and moves onto the front row of the grid, so a very nice lap there in the AlphaTauri. It looks like there was still a few attempts to find there through the hairpin as he locked up and ran wide. Hulkenberger slightly down on what he'd done previously. And I know that we had Vizu on a lap as well, and it was like he went up to fourth for Haas, so a nice lap from him. Norris is not on a quick lap. We've got anyone who I think could be on a lap at the moment. We'll go back with Hulkenberger just to see if he can improve. No, he's backed off. He's obviously decided that he wasn't going to find any time on that lap, and he's going to come into the pits. Howdy is on a lap, so let's go on board with the Renault driver. He's such a smooth driver. If there is one driver here tonight that I would back on not picking up too many penalties, it is Powdy, I have to say. And if he can do that, then he should undoubtedly score some good points here. 19.0 is a pretty competitive opening sector to boot, as he has a bit of oversteer there. That corner proving to be a little bit troublesome, we've already seen. But this lap's looking pretty nice here from Powdy. Five minutes left to go in the session. And of course this is where Powdy invalidated on his first attempt. So he'll want to get this right. Oh, he ran deep, and as a result he actually, I think he was so worried about hitting the first curve, but he went a bit deep, locked up a little bit, and actually ran too much over the second curve. And that's what's cost him his lap time there. Got Patuka, who is marginally up, and I mean marginally. He's going to need to find a brilliant final sector here if he doesn't want to move up the order. A couple of podiums for Patuka since he became a full-time Mercedes driver here in F7. And that was very much on the limit through the final chicane. He stays sixth. He does improve actually in the end by a tenth and a half, but not actually enough to move him up any positions. We've got Tim Matz. What's he up to through the middle sector? So Tim Matz is significantly improving by 3/10. He was hoping, of course, I think earlier on today, that I don't know, maybe something happened to Jonas and Juice and that he'd managed to get on the podium tonight, but he's going to need to find more time than that to beat a lot of the drivers, let alone those two. So we'll see what he can do through the final chicane. But tonight, Jonas has actually become the first man to go into the 1:07s. Tim Matz only goes 10th on a 1:09.0, and Juice finished off his lap and goes third quickest. Powdy's back in the pits. Have we got anyone going? Because the nature of this track means you can go for a second flying lap if you so wish, but I don't think anyone is. So this is your current pole sitter. TNR Jonas is setting a quite sensational pace here. They say that champions are kind of built on how they respond to adversity, and I have to say right now, Jonas is really shining in qualifying. Juice maybe not showing the electrifying pace that we've seen from him at other tracks, but he is up in third, so it's still a very good showing for him at the moment. In terms of your other championship contenders, Game Freak are down in 12th. He'll need to find something more than that, and Powdy yet to do a lap time, so It is the two, I'd say, most fancied contenders, Jonis and Juice, who are putting in the good laps so far. Of course, the nature of his track, tyre wear's not too bad. Although the other thing is, a two-stop is very much, you know, a strategy call here, especially if you get a safety car, because the safety pit lane here does not cost you too much. It's around 16 seconds. So, because obviously you cut out quite a lot of the first few corners, and it is quite a short pit lane anyway. So the nature of it means that, you know, if you do want to go for a two-stopper, it's not out of the question, particularly for those that have to start on soft tyres. And obviously overtaking here is pretty possible. Obviously you've got the 3 DRS zones. The only negative for that is if you get caught in a DRS train, you might almost get stuck. But other than that, there are plenty of opportunities here, no doubt about it. As Abiadun goes up to 6th place. Oh, and actually, no, I think that was his lap time from before. He's on a lap now, so we'll follow Abiadun round. He's half a tenth quicker in the first sector than he was previously. And definitely his most competitive showing since his return to league racing. What's he looking at through the second sector? A tenth of a second up. So if he can keep this going, there's no reason why he couldn't potentially put this on the front row of the grid. AlphaTauri have really been lacking a strong teammate to Rowan since Frunke unfortunately had to drop out after he won the season opener. Maybe in Abiadun they might just have found that driver. It's such a shame, but there's so little of the season left for him. But that's a cracking run through the final corner. This is surely going to put him onto the front row of the grid, and it does. A 108.2. That last chicane was absolutely inch perfect. And he'll be delighted with that lap. I'm absolutely certain of it. And that will be his qualifying done. And I tell you what, there's every chance that might remain on the front row of the grid here. What's Vizu up to? He's a couple of attempts up on what he did previously, so the Haas driver on the podium last week, along with Corboy as well. Two drivers that had been struggling up to that point, but perhaps now are looking a lot more confident within themselves, and they're showing pretty well so far here too. So confidence just breeds results, and it's showing here. What can Vizu do around the final corner? Looks pretty nice, not quite to the level of Abiadun before him, but it's good enough for 5th. Oh, that was very close, I have to say. And we've got Powdy now, who moves up to 6th. That's a crucial lap from him. We've got Marvin, I think it was Marvin, no, it's Tim Matt starting a lap. We've got Juice. Let's follow Juice around. He's the one really to look out for. Rowan has finished his session. He will not be improving. Tim Matz did not make the checkered flag in time. I think Corboy's crashed out. We just saw his Renault there in the barrier, so that's his qualifying session over. Juice, small lock-up into the hairpin, and now down the back straight. He's got both McLarens ahead of him. One of them's backed off, so I'm wondering who that is. Jonis will not be improving on his 107.9. Steph in the other Williams goes up to 3rd on a 108.4. What can Juice do around the final corner? 5th, he knows, will not be good enough for him. Juice up to the line. What's this good enough for? It goes 3rd. He stays behind Abiadun, so he cannot get ahead. Can't get ahead of Abiadun. Norris improves to 14th. I think that could be a lot, you know, unless Powdy is on a lap. No, he's not, so that is it. Jonis takes pole position for the F7 Canadian Grand Prix. A superb lap from our championship leader, 107.9. Abiadun takes a brilliant 2nd place. He'll be delighted with that. I've got to say, that last chicane I saw from him was the best I've seen throughout this entire session. Juice takes 3rd. Maybe not showing the electrifying speed that we used to seeing from him, but he'll still be a massive threat in the race, I'm sure. We've got Steph up in 4th, so Williams looking very good here. Rowan 5th, we've got Vizu in 6th. For 2 Renaults of Powdy and Corboy 7th and 8th. For Tucker 9th, and the top 10 is completed by McLaren, but it's not Game Freaker, it's Hulkenberger. Game Freaker could only manage 13. You mentioned he wasn't confident before this race, and it kind of showed in that qualifying session. Just didn't get to grips with a circuit, and he'll know that this is a massive issue for him here, especially with all of his championship rivals firmly in the top 10. He's going to need a brilliant race to turn that around. We've got Tim Matz and Marvin, the two Ferraris, 11th and 12th. Game Freak 13th, Norris 14th, Vapor King 15th, and then no time for either Cam or Shoaib. Cam joined during qualifying, and Shoaib just obviously, I think he went out quite a few times, but obviously invalidated all of his attempted laps. I have to say that was a big statement that was just sent out there by Jonas, but he's still got 35 laps to navigate around this Montreal circuit if he wants to get a much needed victory. And look at the weather. The weather's taken a real turn for the worse here in the race. So what do they do here? Of course, Parc Fermé will have been on, so will some drivers have potentially gone for a more wet setup here in hope of rain? We're going to find out, I guess. Maybe potentially some drivers that we saw maybe further down in qualifying than we expected. We're obviously thinking of the conditions in the race. So this is far from over, and of course it's going to be a big challenge, a big difference to the driving that we saw in qualifying. They're going to be a lot more cautious now. And it will be interesting to see what effect that has, of course, on the penalties and how many corner cutting penalties we get. I still think we're going to see quite a few. Sometimes even just by making mistakes, which will be easily done in these conditions. It's very difficult to get your braking right. And drivers then will be lining up on the grid. We're on full wet tyres here, which is quite incredible. Just shows how damp it is. And look at that. That was Abiadun, I believe, off the start there, just struggling to get the power down. So yeah, they're all on wet tyres, so there's no difference there. And it's going to make this first lap or so really treacherous. The first corner, hopefully everyone takes the conditions into account and is very careful. Of course, the spray effect on this game when you are behind another car is quite significant, so it's going to be extra difficult to follow cars in these conditions. And it's going to make things, I think, a bit more difficult for Game Freaker too, because he won't be able to make his way through the field as easily, I don't think, especially without the use of DRS, of course, which will be disabled in these wet conditions. And it'll be interesting to see how the weather goes over the course of this race. Will it dry out? Will we go on to inters, maybe dries at a latter point in the race? We shall see. And John is now leading the cars round, trying to get some heat into the tyres before the race starts. The comforting thing for the Williams driver, of course, is it isn't a particularly long run down to this turn one, so he won't have too long to try and fend off, but the starts could be all critical here. It'll be very easy to bog down and pick up too much wheel spin as you straggle around trying to find grip. And he knows in Abiadun next to him, he's got a driver behind him who won't care a rat's behind, I'll say, at the championship. You know, he'll just be wanting to go out there, pick up the best possible results he can. There'll be no pressure on him. And he won't be thinking, I'm next to a championship leader. What he'll be thinking is, this is a fantastic opportunity to get a massive haul of points this evening. As the drivers start to line up then, we see a Ferrari in the background. We've got, that's Norris, I believe, and Cam and Shoaib right at the back, all lining up now. And we should be very close here to lights out. Here we go then. The lights begin to illuminate in front of the drivers, and when they go out, let a battle commence here at Montreal. It's a ginger start from all the drivers here as they try to find some grip. We see all the drivers getting away from the start, and oh, look at that, it's a terrible start from a pole position sitter, and it looks like Juice is trying to battle for the lead. Abiadun is going to take the lead here with Juice trying to come back at him there side by side, heading towards the chicane. Who's going to back out of it first? It's so close. Oh, and Abiadun hits the wall. Abiadun hits the wall in his attempts, and we've got a Renault front wing there that's missing. I think I might be off Cowboy. And look at that, it's It's Abiadun, and we've got a safety car already out. Steph's got damage. So Steph's got damage in all that too. Is it both Renaults? Yeah, it looks like both Renaults have picked up some damage. So a disaster for the two Renault drivers, as they both tried to nurse their cars back to the pits. But that is a disaster for Powdy. And in terms of our race order then, coming to the end of lap 1, ignore the fact it says lap 2. It's Juice who leads, Jonis is second, Rowan third. Abiadun's in fourth, but I'll be stunned. I'm going to try and see now if he's got some damage, because he looks like he went into the wall pretty hard. Let's have a look, see if I can catch if there's damage on that Alpha Tower. It doesn't look like there's much, if there is any. Will we see Abiadun go into the pits here? That's the key. No, Abiadun does not pit. So, wow, what a lively start to the race. Looks like the two Renaults. We've got Cam in the pit, so he must have collected some damage as well then. Yep, so the Red Bull getting a full wing change. Norris as well. Both Renaults. And I wonder there if Powdy let Callboy let Powdy through, because he recognised, you know, Powdy needs to be in front for the championship. And if so, that was fair play to him. Steph in the pits as well after such a good qualifying for the Williams driver. That'll be a devastating blow for them. It's just like Jonis bogged down at the start and couldn't really get going properly. And Juice and Abiadun pounced on it. They went side by side for several corners, and then it looks like Abiadun just understeered into the wall, where he lost positions. Thankfully got away without any sort of significant damage. A drive-through penalty for Vapor King. The Haas driver for falling too far back. That's very, very harsh. Well, let's have a look then at the position changes from the start, if I can. There we go. Alright, so position change off the start then. The big gainers then. We've got some real big ones here. Game Freaker is one of them. He's up 5 places to 8th, as is Marvin from 12th to 7th. We've got Shoaib up from 17th to 12th, Vapor King from 15th to 11th. Off the start, Jonis dropped down a place. Juice has got himself into the lead of a race. That'll be a big blow for Jonis. He'll know that's an opportunity missed from his side of things, but maybe Juice went for a more wet setup. We'll find out, I guess. Seeing how the restart goes. Abiadun down a couple of spots too. Rowan, his teammate, up a few spots now ahead of him. And of course, you got Steph, Powdy, Callboy, who lost out tremendously in that first lap melee, where we saw lots of drivers have contact. Difficult to tell through the spray exactly what happened, but I'm probably going to try and stick on board a bit more now to try and get a better view of some of the events that are going on here. Seeing there's nobody. Yeah, nobody has gone for inters or anything like that. I didn't think they would. And I reckon we should be back underway at the end of this lap. We've got Norris and Callboy just catching up to the back of a train. And you can see as well how vitally important it was for Powdy to get in pits in front of his teammate, because he's now a few spots in front of him. I do wonder if that was sort of team managed in a way to get Powdy in front of him. Shoaib's got a... What on earth's happened there? Got further down the back. Is it Shoaib? I'm going to try and find him. Oh, he's spun round. He got a penalty and it looks like there was contact between him and Cam, it looks like. And that's a bit clumsy under the safety car, I'm not going to lie. It's easily done, of course, when you all bunch up. But, oh, and Steph's got a penalty for ignoring a yellow flag now. So it looks like all sorts is going on here. There may be some of these penalties that are looked at after the race. I would not be surprised if that's the case. And just like Juice has gone, and he has caught Williams slightly napping there. We'll see what the cars are doing behind them, but we are back underway here at Canada, and Juice has got the perfect restart as Abiadun looks all over the back of his AlphaTauri teammate. And we got Cam and Shoaib back in the pits for that incident under the safety car, so Their race really going from bad to worse, and it's going to be a tough uphill task from there to try and score points. It looks like if any driver was caught out at restart, it's probably Hulkenberger. He's got Marvin right behind him, and he's got a 2-second gap already in front of him, so Hulkenberg definitely was caught napping somewhat on the restart, but maybe trying to help out his teammate a little bit as well, because Game Freaker is right behind Marvin, and he said he was hoping for rain, Game Freaker here, so this is his time to shine. He's got a bit of a run here on the Ferrari of Marvin. Is he going to look down the inside? No, he's got a championship to think about. That's not worth doing, but look, that's a big mistake from Marvin. He's had to go off the track and he's rejoined. I actually think he's gained a little bit of time there in doing that, but he'll undoubtedly have collected a warning, I'm sure. Oh, and oh, look at that! There was a bit of contact between Game Freaker. Someone was going around Game Freaker's outside. I didn't notice that. That was Patuka who was going down the outside of Game Freaker. And wow, that was quite a moment there. And now look at this, Game Freaker using his overtake to try and get past the Ferrari. He knows how crucial this is. He goes down the inside of Marvin, but he can't make it stick. And now he's going to be under threat from Patuka as well. This is really not helping Game Freaker. And now they're going to go 3 wide almost down to turn 1. Patuka might pass both of them here. He's going to go right to the outside. Is he going to have the confidence to outbrake the Ferrari? I think he is. What can he do now though? Marvin will try and hold it out around the outside, which he can't do. And Patuka has gained 2 places, and he really made that work for himself. Game Freaker determined to go up the inside here. Oh, and there's going to be a bit of contact between him and the Ferrari. It just isn't working out at the moment. Further up the field, we've got Rowan, who's made a bit of a mistake, and Abby Dunn's got past him, and he must have lost a significant amount of time, so he must have made a big error, actually, the AlphaTauri, because he's lost a lot of time to the cars in front of him. So Abby Dunn back up into 3rd. And Game Freaker really not having that all his own way at the restart, and you can already see some penalties starting to filter through, as Juice and Jonis almost end up in a race of their own here, the way this is going. Game Freaker's race is really being affected by this Ferrari here of Marvin. He'll be absolutely determined to make a move, and it looks like he has done on the exit of the hairpin. Marvin just didn't get off the corner that well, and ultimately that made things pretty easy. And McLaren is trying to come back at him, Marvin, but Game Freaker's made the move stick. As Juice tries to drive away from Jonis, who is sticking pretty close to the back of him. But Game Freaker has made that crucial move now up to 8, but at the same time, he lost a place, so he's got some catching up to do here, and next up will be the battle between his teammate and Patuka, so what can you do about that? We shall see, but not ideal for Game Freaker, but he has finally cleared that Ferrari, and I wouldn't be surprised if Tim Matz finds the route through his teammates a little bit easier. It looks like Vapor King's lost some time at the back as he collected damage too. And we've got Tim Matz go very wide there. Now under threat from Powdy, if anything, so I talked about him gaining a position on his teammate, but he might be about to lose one here. Is Powdy using his overtake? No, he's not. Further up, we've got Patuka. Wow, and Game Freak has caught up to the back of his 2 really quickly. So it doesn't look like Hulk is enjoying his conditions one bit. But maybe here he's trying to do his teammate a bit of a favour. If he can bunch the Mercedes into his teammate, it could work out pretty well for Game Freak, because Abby done pits. Interesting. Is he going for a set of intermediate tyres, I wonder? Yes, he is. He's pitting for Inters, and he's not the only one as well. Powdy's in the pits too. So a few drivers thinking, right, I want away from this traffic. Although Abby Dunn really wasn't in any traffic. Powdy though much more so, but they've gone for intermediates. And now we're going to see what these are like here. Have they called this right, or have they called it a lap or two too early? Track definitely looks like it's dried up somewhat since the start of the race. And look, well, Cam has actually been on the Inters for a little while now, and he's just done the fastest lap of the race, so now's undoubtedly the time to do it. And I wonder if, by calling this a lap, well, not early, but on time, has Powdy and potentially Abby Dunn as well really put themselves into this race. So we've got a Ferrari off the road. That's Marvin. Oh, as he desperately tries to keep it on the road, he's really struggling to keep the car on the road. As we've got Patuka trying to come back at Game Freaker, but he's massively outbroken himself. And he has to concede that one in the end. But surely we're going to see a lot of cars in the pits here. But what do McLaren do? Does Hulk stay out to help his teammate have an advantage? What does he do here? This is a big moment for McLaren. They're the constructors leaders. They've got a driver in a title fight. Hulk pits, so Game Freak has to stay out. That could be a huge blow for him. As Juice exits the pits now. Steph as well carries on, but the rest of the drivers are in. And where's Abiadun going to fit? Abiadun is just behind. In fact, is he cleared Jonas? Yes, he has. So Abiadun pitting just that lap early for Inters has given him an opportunity, but Joyce is coming straight back at the AlphaTauri. Oh, and there's a bit of contact. And Abiadun keeps it together, and now Rowan is going to pass his teammate. So all of Abiadun's work he did in that lap on in the intermediates has been undone straight away. Jonas was determined to get that place back. He knew how crucial it was for his race. And Abiadun then loses the place to his teammate at the same time, but Game Freak is going to be massively compromised here. And the worst thing for him is I think now he's going to come out, it's fairly certain he's going to come out behind Powdy, who's just behind his teammate. And he's of course another of the championship contenders. So this is a disaster for Game Freaker. I don't think but this has worked out at all well for him, but he had no choice. He couldn't have afforded to queue behind his teammate. It was a lesser of two evils, really. And we got Vizu once again. He's, like I say, scored 18 points in the last two races as Prime Vizu, but he's up there again in 7th place, and he's right on the back of the two AlphaTauris. Game Freaker pit. Steph has got a penalty for speeding in the pit lane. That's a big blow for him. And now what I want to find out is where's Game Freaker going to rejoin? Because this is undoubtedly going to be a huge blow. I can't imagine he's going to rejoin particularly well in this race. He's behind, is he? Yeah, just behind Powder. It's not actually as bad as what it could have been, if I'm honest. I thought he might be behind Tim Matson, maybe Cowboy too. But no, just behind. Oh, we got, I think that's Norris Norris being passed by Patuka. That's for 11th place. And has he got a problem? Oh, I think he might have some front wing damage on that Red Bull. Looks like he's struggling somewhat. I don't imagine maybe the conditions, I'm not too sure. But either way, dropping down the field a little bit at the moment, Norris, and we've got Juice. 1 second lead over Jonas. There's no doubt about it, though. That sort of gap that they'd built up a little between the pair of them has been wiped out somewhat. Rowan now only 1.3 seconds behind this pair. And I'm interested to see now how long they're on these intermediates for. We wondered if they'd go on to intermediates and maybe slick tyres, so we'll see if that develops. One thing we know for sure is if it does go to slicks later on, Jonas was absolutely flying in qualifying. But it seems to be, for me, the drier it gets, the more it helps him. He's starting to close in on our race leader. Got some support for Vizu, Tim Mats and Jonas in the chat. Nice to see. Let's go on board with a Williams driver as he hunts down his rival. He knows if he could beat Juice here, that would be a huge blow for Juice, and more importantly, a huge boost for him. So this is a really important battle, not just in the context of this race, but in the context of the season as a whole. Oh, you hear the brakes there, squeaking under braking almost. I've got to say, though, Rowan, if anything, is catching up to the pair of them. Although Jonas here has got a really nice run. Is he going to use overtake to try and make the move stick? How much ERS has good? Juice got a lot of ERS left, and he's using his overtake here to fend off for Williams, obviously sensing and who's about to come under attack. A little bit of oversteer on the exit there of a final chicane. And Powdy, look at him, he's over the back. Oh, we've got a problem in the final sector. Is that Cam? Cam's got an issue, he's dropped to the back, and we've got here almost 3 wide. And Norris is into the pits. Yeah, Norris has collected damage. It looks like both Red Bulls have got damage. It's been an absolute nightmare for them. Yeah, they're both in the pits, and Cam is actually retired. So that is our first retirement of the evening. Neither Red Bull has had a good race, and Cam has decided that that's enough for that for this evening. He'll hope for better at USA next week when we go to Austin for the penultimate round. Back here, Jonas is quite happy to just settle in behind Juice right now. He'll be quite liking where he is. We've got yellow flag in sector. What's this about? Vapor King has gone for a spin. So Vapor King not having a good night of it either. Doesn't look like he's had anything more. Oh no, he has. He's got damage. He's got damage on the right hand side of his front wing. So he will have to pit. Surely he won't be able to carry on with that damage. Has Johnny's had a bit of a mistake though, because if anything now Rowan's closer to him than he is to Juice, so it really is toing and throwing between these 3 at the front. Abby had done just a couple of seconds adrift. And we got Patuka, it looks like he's making a move on Cowboy. They're side by side down the pitch straight. Is Cowboy going to have the inside for turn 1? No, he's not. Patuka just had the overspeed, and he stays ahead in front of the Renault. Once again, Hulkenberg's doing a fantastic job. Whether it's intentional or not, he's doing a great job in backing somebody up into his teammate again. And this time it's Powdy, so this is very important on this occasion. Powdy, we know, he's probably not the most aggressive overtaker on this field. He's very calculated. But in these conditions, that makes almost an overtake very difficult to pull off. And look at the amount of VRS Game Freaker has in comparison. So if Game Freaker can get just a good exit somewhere against the Renault, he could make this move stick. You got to be so careful in the hairpin in these conditions not to just run into the car in front of you. It's very easily done. And he's using overtake here, Game Freaker, so he sensed an opportunity, but he's not stayed in it for too long. Hulkenberg running a good race here, to be fair. He's in 6th place, running his own race. He admitted himself he doesn't particularly enjoy this track either, so... But he's doing a solid job at the moment, and... Oh, we've got Powdy, though, looking like he wants to make a move stick. Powdy's going for it this time! But Hulk holds his line, and there's nowhere for Powdy to go. Big blow here for Powdy and Game Freaker will be the fact that, whether they know it or not, their 2 championship rivals are currently the top 2 positions. And meanwhile, these 2 are battling over 7th, and ultimately, that, especially for Powdy, that's not going to be enough to keep his championship going. Powdy, of course, 16 points behind Jonas coming into this evening. He would have known he needed a really strong result here. Of course, we've still plenty of time to go in this race, and any safety cars can definitely impact on that. The later the safety car is, the better for anyone who hasn't got any penalties. And of course, on the flip side, worse for anyone who has got quite a few. This is mainly the closest battle on track at the moment. We have also got Patuka right up behind Tim Mats, but Juice is starting to get the hammer down now, and Rowan has also drifted back a little bit from the leading pair as they start to stretch their legs out front. It looked to me like Game Freaker had a pretty strong exit there, but he's not going to be close enough on this occasion to make the move stick. Is Patuka trying anything further behind? Not really. Looks like he's quite eager to get past the Ferrari though. And Rowan's lost a lot of time. Has Rowan made a mistake somewhere? Rowan's just lost a lot of time to the leading pair. He's not got any damage, but he's obviously rather ran wide or gone off somewhere because he's lost a lot of time. And he's now fallen back into the clutches of his teammate Abiadon. So the front pair have now got a real breather as Vapor King becomes our 2nd retirement of the evening. Obviously very frustrated, and just drove into the pits and called it a day. Well, look here, Vapor King. Oh, sorry, Abiadun rather is really on the back of Rowan here, and there's nothing. Abiadun's going to go for into the final chicane. No, he's not. I almost want to say that if that hadn't been his teammates, he may have been a little bit more aggressive there, but Rowan was using his overtake to fend him off. We got Patuka and Tim Mats very much going for it here. They went side by side, I believe, through the final chicane. That's brave enough in the dry, let alone in the wet. And Tim Mats coming back here at Patuka as Powdy picks up a penalty. Oh, and there's nowhere for the Ferrari to go, and Patuka's going to make that move stick and up into 9th place. And now Tim Mats is going to have his mirrors full of Renault now as well, with Cowboy following close behind. Let's go back with this battle for 7th place. Hulkenberg's just... I don't think he's going to remind him what he's doing here, but the problem the Game Freaker has is he just cannot get a good enough run as Powdy runs wide, and that gives Game Freaker the opportunity I said he was going to need. And Game Freaker takes full advantage and moves up to 7th. A small mistake there from Powdy presented the opening, and I do wonder now, is Hulkenberg just going to let his teammate go? I wouldn't be surprised if that was the case, because he'll know that his teammate's got the championship to fight for here. And I would also hazard a guess that he's probably quicker right now too. There's no sense in Hulkenberg fighting this, and I don't think he's going to. Are we about to see some excellent team play here between the McLaren drivers? Yes, we are. Game Freaker gets past Hulkenberg, broke early to make it easy for him. Unfortunately, though, Game Freaker picks up a penalty in doing so, obviously going off the optimum racing line. But nevertheless, Game Freak up to 6th now, and he can try and stretch his legs in some clear air now, while Hulk continues to just run his own race and almost back up Powdy in a sense. Every point helps Game Freaker here this evening. He'll be hoping maybe some bad luck befalls one of the top 2, but right now they're looking in a race of their own, and we've got Powdy. Powdy's had an error somewhere, because he's lost a place to Patuka. It looks like there might be something more that went off there, but not to be. Powdy drops down to 9th, but I don't see any damage on his car, so maybe just a slight off there. But he loses a place to Patuka, and more importantly now he's got a bit of ground to make up. And you almost get the sense here that we are almost losing a championship contender here this evening. Powdy's strength this season has ultimately been his consistency. He's had a couple of 3rd places, but he hasn't stood on the top step of the podium, and without being too hard almost, I don't think he's looked like standing on the top step of the podium. He just hasn't had the raw speed. It has been his racecraft and consistency and strategy that's put him in those positions. So I almost feel like if he can only score a couple of points this evening, it will kind of almost end his championship bid there. He really needed to be higher up here, but it's just not working out for him as Patuka slides down the inside of Hulkenberg into turn 1 and 2 and completes the move and is up to 7th. And that'll frustrate Powdy, because he'll have just seen how easily the Mercedes made it through Hulk, and he just couldn't manage to do the same. Patuka looks very quick at this stage of the race, as him and Game Freak are already, well, Game Freak's already miles clear of the McLaren, his teammate behind him, so it just shows the difference in pace those two had. And we're seeing some real gaps spread out over the field here. Looks like it's drying out ever so slightly as well, so we may get some dry tyre running in later on. I think Johnny Swab will almost be hoping for it. These two just look absolutely unstoppable right now, and you can see how much they're pushing each other. A second apart, they're constantly driving each other on, trying to maybe force the other into a mistake. And we've now got Powdy right in the back of Hulkenberg. Hulkenberg's starting to drop down a little bit in terms of time. As I don't know if he's got damage or if he's just ultimately struggling a little bit right now. Says the pit window's open for mediums. It doesn't look like it's drying out, to be fair, so I wonder if we're going to see some drivers here opt to pit soon for dry tyres. I mean, it still looks like there's a bit of spray out there, so I still think Inters are the right tyre for now. But it looks like we might be getting some dry tyre running pretty shortly. The rate it's going, it's definitely drying up here. And in terms of people who that could present a problem to, well, obviously the obvious one is Abiadun, because he's right behind his teammate, and obviously that means if he can't get past him, well, one of them's going to have to queue. Either that or stay out an extra lap or something. Oh, but Abiadun there had a massive moment on the exit of the hairpin, but manages to hold it all together. No one's pitting yet, but you can definitely see the dry line starting to emerge. And maybe a few drivers down towards the rear of the field might think about gambling in a lap or two. In fact, we've got Prime Vizu pitting. Surely, is he going to be the first one to gamble onto a set of dry tyres here? He's having his front wing changed, so that's obviously something else he decided to do, but he is going on to medium tyres, as is Tim Mats. We have got some drivers, maybe a bit further up than I was expecting, that are taking the gamble. Let's see how it pays off for them. This has been running a quiet race. I didn't actually know where he damaged his wing, but nevertheless he's back on the circuit now, and it's going to be very much an exploratory lap here. Seeing where the grip is and seeing where it's not. We'll go back to the race leader because I'm interested to see what the top two do in response to this. I don't know if they'll know if anyone's coming to the pits or not, but I'm sure their engineer will have been in talks with them about the conditions. And we've got Juice and Johnny heading into the pits. What do they do? They both carry on. So none of them attempted to pit just yet. What? Rowan and Abiadun also both carry on. So really, they're not getting that sense. I mean, looking at the split times at the moment, Vizu isn't really closing down on the cars in front of him. So, and we've got Patuka in the pits as well. So he's obviously thinking now's the time for slicks. But those on them aren't particularly going terribly quickly at the moment. So is it a lap or two too early? Patuka going on mediums. Of course, I want to see these medium tyres now through to the end of a race from here. And Patuka rejoins in front of Vizu. I think that almost shows, if anything, how much time Vizu's been losing. I know he had his front wing change, but even so, he's not having the most amount of fun on those dry tyres at the moment. So maybe the best call at the moment is to stay out on the inters that you're on. Abiadun's still right behind his teammate, but can't do anything about it. Abiadun's got so much ERS left. That's incredible. No wonder Abiadun can't make a move stick. He can just slam it into overtake whenever he needs to. Jonas pits. Right, so Jonas has taken the gamble. He's opted to pit. Juice stays out. Are either of the AlphaTauris going to pit, or are they both staying? Yeah, they're both staying out. Surprising. I'm surprised one of them didn't make the gamble, just so we didn't have to queue, almost. Game Freaker pits as well, so... Right, here we go. This is going to be absolutely crucial here. It still looks to me like the ones on dry tyres are losing a bit of time. So, will that pay off? I mean, Jonas will think, I had nothing to lose. I had a comfortable margin behind me. So from that side of things, it's not too much of a gamble. Where's he going to rejoin out in terms of traffic? He's actually pretty nicely in between Abiadun and Powdy. Where does Game Freaker rejoin? He's in front of Patuka. That's worked out pretty nicely indeed for Game Freaker. And it's all about now trying to find a grip from somewhere, but those on. Well, let's have a look at Jonas. He's actually pegging back. Ooh, this is going to be really tight, you know. Because Jonas is starting to pick up a little bit of pace on them. You imagine Juice is going to respond right now. No, he doesn't. He stays out again. Well, this is interesting. Surely one of the AlphaTauris is going to pit. Yeah, Rowan pits. Abiadun obviously does not follow him. Having said that, Jonas isn't... This is a really tough one to call. I still don't think the dry's are the better tyre right now, which is bizarre, really, that so many drivers are on them, but they don't seem to be working. Maybe heating them up is an issue. We've got Powdy in the pits now too. So we're all opting for set of mediums. The only two drivers still, we've got Juice, Abidon and Hulkenberg, are the only three drivers still out there, other than some of those towards the back of the field. Is Game Freaker gonna still be in front of Powdy? Yes, he is. That's important for him. Alright, this is a battle I want to see. This is Hulkenberger on the intermediates versus Rowan on the mediums. Now, of course, there's no doubt about it here. The quicker driver is Rowan in this race. But is he going to be quicker here? Okay, I think now the Juice has pitted. So I think those remaining on the intermediates have decided now's a crossover point. And Juice fits on a set now. Where's Jonas? This is going to be absolutely crucial for the race here. DRS has been enabled, so I think now is the time. Abidon goes for the softs, so he's decided to go for a softer compounded tyre and really take the fight to some of the drivers in front of him. Where's Juice? Juice is miles in front. So pitting early for Jonas has not worked out at all. And even better for Abidon is he's in front of his teammates. So those that stayed out longer, it's worked out better for. What about Hulkenberger? Where's he going to rejoin? It's going to be around where Patuka is. Is he going to be in front of him? Yes, he is. Hulkenberger rejoins in P7, but yeah, so those stayed out longer. It's worked out for more, and I wonder now, can Abidon do anything about Jonas? The life expectancy of the soft tyres, I believe, is about 12 laps. I'm just going to have to check my notes here very quickly. Yeah, so 12 laps. So yeah, so Abidon's tyres will go off towards the end. But he's obviously going aggressive and thinking, I've got nothing to lose here. Let's really take the fight to those in front. We're going to see fastest lap changing all the time. What's happened here? Game Freaker! Game Freaker's gone for a spin! That's an absolute disaster for the McLaren driver! He's gone for a spin and he's dropping down the field. He's down to 10th place. I hope for his sake he hasn't got damage, but that's a huge blow. Game Freaker's title hopes may just have evaporated in front of him. That's not what he needed. He picks up a penalty as well just to add to his frustration. That's absolute massive blow. He will be absolutely gutted about that. We know he wasn't confident coming into the race, but he'd really put himself in a promising position after those final stops, but it's all gone wrong for him there. And now he's really on a recovery mission to see if he can get past a few drivers. Because 10th place, he'll know it, is just not enough if the results stay as they are now. He'll drop behind Juice in the championship. Juice here is looking absolutely well. He's got fresher mediums. He's in front of Jonas. Everything is absolutely working out perfectly for him right now. Abidon's just at the fastest lap of the race. Shoaib has just got a penalty for speeding in the pit lane. I wonder if he's going to retire from the race. Bad play if he doesn't, but I wouldn't be surprised if he does. Now he's back out on track, so Shoaib still continuing on here. We've got a yellow flag in sector 3. I'm not sure what that was all about. Oh, let's go with this battle now. Hulkenberger I've got to be honest, every time I go with Hulkenberger, it seems like he's got either 1 or 2 or even 3 cars behind him. He does seem to be doing a lot of defending in this race. And yeah, he's got Patuka, Cowboy and Marvin all behind him. Game Freaker just a little bit further back. And we've seen here Patuka's not afraid to try a move, certainly to the hairpin we saw earlier. He outbroke himself in an attempt to go past the McLaren, so He'll not think twice about making a move here. He's got a nice run coming up to the hairpin. And I think he's going to get moved before we even get there. Yes, he is. That was very, very easy for the Mercedes. And Patuka moves up into 6th place. But I believe he has got a few penalties, so that could shake out differently come the end. So his goal now will be to try and absolutely pull way ahead of Hulkenberger, who he's actually got the DRS off him, which is really handy for him. Oh, he had a bit of a moment there in the exit of chicane. You see Abidun starting to gain on the Williams in front of him as Patuka does the fastest lap of the race. He's absolutely flying. 112.6. Oh, well, what can I say? Juice just seems to deliver out the bag again. Jonas will be ruining that early stop. He'll know that he perhaps just jumped the gun a bit too much on that one, trying to make something happen, when perhaps it would have been better to just hold out a few more laps. But nevertheless, Juice has called it perfectly and had such a good start at the beginning, and he's now looking on course for a beautifully controlled win. Jonas will not be too unhappy with second though. In terms of a greater picture of his championship, he'll still hold an either 11 or 12 point lead on Juice, depending how fast his lap shakes out, which I think Juice will struggle to get. So yeah, it'll be on Juice. If Juice keeps picking up a few more penalties as well, that could also change the outcome of the race. We've got Cowboy trying to get past Hulk, he just runs out of straight. He'll try and get a better exit now. Up to turn 1, he's got overtake, he's got DRS. What can the McLaren do to stop him? Cowboy down the inside. Hulkenberger tries to hold it around the outside. Oh, there's a bit of wheel-to-wheel contact. Hulkenberger does not want to give this place up. That's a shocking camera angle, as Cowboy has to slot in behind for now. Picks up a penalty as well, which will no doubt infuriate him even more. He's going to go for it here. There's not going to be enough space there, and Hulkenberger almost sensed the move coming and made sure that he left some room on the inside without surrendering too much pace himself. But look at that again, the DRS so effective on the Renault. Hulkenberg just struggling for a bit of straight line speed here. We've got Marvin as well. This battle really hotting up here, and once again Game Freak is joining the back of a group that his teammates creating. Whether it's planned or not, it just seems to be the way it's working out here today. And Game Freak knows he could do with getting a few more positions here. There's a big 7 laps in his title bid. Powdy meanwhile up to 5th place. I have to say it's a great recovery drive from him as Marvin goes down the inside. Oh, there's contact. Oh, and he just might just hold it together. We got yellow flag in sectors 2 and 3. Not sure what that's for. Looks like it might be for Steph, who's had a bit of a problem. Game Freak picks up another penalty. That's a bit careless, if I'm completely honest. Obviously, he mentioned in his FP race on Tuesday that he collected 15 seconds worth of penalties, so I actually thought he'd be one of the best ones. Avoiding him here as we've got Cowboy going right around the outside of Hulkenberger further up the field, and moving up to 7th. Hulkenberger maybe not enjoying these dry conditions as much as some of the others around him. Yeah, I thought someone I thought would be a bit better at preventing penalties has unfortunately picked up quite a few. Have you done on those soft tyres? I mean, it's worked out pretty well in terms of pulling away from his teammate, but he isn't really able to do too much. And we've actually got side by side here. Hulk coming back at Cowboy, and Cowboy opts to not take the chicane. And if he's got a problem now, because if he needs to let the McLaren through, he's got a problem because the Ferrari is now ahead of the McLaren. So Marvin has slotted in between the pair of them, and ooh, that's a bit of a contentious one. Cowboy went across the chicane there to hold position, and ooh, that might not go down too well, certainly in the McLaren camp. The constructors leaders, of course, McLaren, are having a bit of a nightmare this evening, because you've got the likes of Alpha Tauri, you've got Williams and Renault picking up a good haul of points here, so this is doing McLaren no favours whatsoever. I don't know, that's a bit of an iffy one from my side of things. Obviously it's so difficult to give the place back when you see that there's a car in between you and the car that you need to let through. But I doubt Hulk will be too impressed with that one. Of course, Callboy will say he gave me nowhere to go, I had no choice. It'll be 6 of one, half a dozen of the other in the steward's room afterwards, I'm sure. And this is very much the group of cars that's closest on the circuit at the moment. Marvin now setting about Callboy, the two McLarens very close together. And I wouldn't be surprised again if we see a swap between the pair of them, especially with Prime Vizu right behind as well. He's the one who really lost out when we changed to dry tyres, because he of course was the one who really went for it early on and changed his wing, but of course it just wasn't dry enough initially. So you'd say before the safety car came out, Prime Vizu was up in the top 5 and looking very good indeed. Well, that early call for dry tyres really didn't pay off. And now it's all about trying to salvage as many points as possible in these remaining laps. Abidon's just lost a lot of time. Is that the soft tyre starting to go off perhaps? If so, then he could come under a bit of threat here from his teammate. We shall see. There's a lot of big gap behind the two AlphaTauris, so they're fairly secure in that regard. But yeah, Abidon's starting to lose a lot of pace. Yeah, be quite careful on the throttle here. Yeah, he's really going slowly here. It doesn't look like to me like he's going full power down the straights. Is he backing off to let his teammate close in, I wonder? I'm not too sure, but yeah, something's definitely not right in that car, so I wonder if that's what's going on. We've got a yellow flag in sector 2. Got cars bunching up here again, the two McLarens following Marvin round. This will be a big boost for Marvin. He's not had a great season in terms of results. He would undoubtedly agree. Now we done pits. So has he collected damage somewhere? Let's see. Is he having any train? Yeah, he broke his front wing. So Abidon, from a podium position, has thrown it all away. Oh, that's absolutely gutting for him. He was driving such a strong race, but he's had to come in the pits, and that would have explained why he was struggling so much. Powdy moves up into third place. We've got a yellow flag in sector 3. It looks like we've got... I'm not sure who that is, actually. Oh, it's Steph, who's retired in the pits. That's what that's for. And Abidon rejoins him, P6. So he's got a big job now to try and get, well, past Patuka and then after Powdy as well. Powdy is staring at 4th place. This would be an amazing result for him if he could hold on to that. Powdy did not look like scoring that amount of points, I have to say. But things have just fallen into place for him. But Abidon will undoubtedly be absolutely gutted on that one. He's about to make the move. Stick, I think, pretty comprehensively on Patuka. Patuka probably realised there was no real reason to fight that one off. It was inevitable, really, that Abidon was going to get that move done. And he even gets DRS down the next straight as well, as he now will try and go after Powdy. He's not got long to do so. He'll just have 3 laps from here to try and get after him. But with those fresh soft tyres, it's definitely not impossible that he'll pull it off. And then, of course, it'll come down to penalties as to who will grab 4th place. Patuka picks up another penalty. I think I've seen him in that bottom left-hand corner a few too many times for his liking. So that's going to be a tough one for him to see where he falls down to. Game Freak is still behind his teammate. And we've seen McLaren work so well together this season, but is this maybe the first signs that things are not quite all they seem? Of course, Hulk, for his sake, will be thinking, you know, I don't have any reason to let you through. He might think, well, getting 2 points is no real improvement on getting 1. But we'll see here. It looks like, if anything, Hulk's dropped off the back of Marvin, so And Vizu just isn't able to capitalise. It looked to me like Vizu was super quick in the wet conditions, but is perhaps struggling a little more now that the conditions have dried out. Abidon picks up a penalty, which could be crucial as he desperately tries to get after Powdy. He should be able to comfortably do so, actually. Look at that, Abidon fastest lap of 1:10.1. That's not going to get beaten anytime soon. Oh, and we got yellow flag in sector 2. Is that one of the Alpha? Let's have a look. Is that Rowan? That to me, I think was Rowan, you know. I don't know if he had an issue there, but he's lost a lot of time. Nevertheless, we go back here to... this is going to be a simple move, surely. Abidon's got superior traction on Powdy. I don't think Powdy's going to really fight this one too much. If I'm honest, it's not really worth it, and Abidon outbreaks him into the hairpin. Just so much fresher tyres. There's really nothing that Powdy could do there, but of course, if he stays reasonably close to AlphaTauri in front, he could pip him on the line due to penalties. We are now on the final lap of the race, and we're going to focus now on the race leader. He has done much coverage of late, especially since Jonas made that unfortunate gamble to take the early stop onto dry tyres when ultimately the track just wasn't quite ready for them, and that helped Juice extend his lead when it was around a second for most of the time they were on intermediates. But since then, Juice has really controlled the pace and shown why he is definitely one of the people to look out for at the moment in PlayStationGL. In just his 6th start in F7, he is looking at his 4th win, and he is very much in this championship battle when, I have to say, myself included, thought it was too little too late for him, but absolutely not now. He's very much in this fight, and everyone here will know it. Round the final corner he comes to take the victory here at the PSGL F7 Canadian Grand Prix. Juice absolutely dominates and takes a well-deserved victory. Jonas will take 2nd place, 2.7 seconds ahead of him in the end due to penalties, and we'll see how the rest of it shakes out. We've got Rowan in 3rd, we've got a yellow flag in sector 3, I don't know what that's for. We'll have to come back to that. Rowan takes 3rd place. Will that be enough for him to stay there? Powdy! Oh, we've got in the wall. Abidon has crashed coming out the final corner. What an absolute disaster for Abidon. I don't believe it. I'm absolutely stunned. Powdy retakes 4th on penalties. Cowboy up to 5th. What a haul of points for Renault. Out of absolutely nowhere. Hulkenberger. Hulkenberger takes 4th on penalties. That's astonishing. Out of nowhere, but Abidon, I can't believe what I've just seen. He made such an error on his previous set of soft tyres, and now coming out the final corner, he has binned it in dramatic circumstances. He will not score any points here. But Hulkenberger takes P4, incredibly. He must have either not got any penalties or only got like 1. If he's avoided any penalties at all, that's fair play indeed. Well done to our podium finishers, well deserved for Juice. Jonas as well. Rowan will be delighted, I think, with 3rd. He'll be gutted at the same time for his teammate, who was looking on course to make it a 3-4 for AlphaTauri for much of that race. But ultimately it's fizzled out for them. And despite everything then, due to that 4th for Hulkenberger, things are not looking so bad for McLaren. Game Freaker, though, not backing up his teammate's finish. We'll see the full classified results very shortly indeed. But that's going to mean a lot of drama for the championship. Jonas will still be the championship leader going to Austin next week for our penultimate round, but he's undoubtedly under threat now from Juice. And still Powdy and Game Freak are in and around it too. So if we get more drama like we had here tonight, it could go any way. As I'm being very patient waiting for the results to come up on my screen. It's taking longer than I would have liked. Oh, we're not going to get them. Well, that's fantastic. I don't really understand why that's happened. But as far as I believe, it was Hulkenberger 4th, Powdy 5th, Cowboy in 6th. I think Game Freaker may have got 8th in the end. I think Patuka might have fallen to either 7th or 9th. I'm not entirely sure how that ended up in the end. I really do apologise for that. I have no idea why the classified results did not come up. But there's no doubt about your race winner. Juice wins, John is second, Rowan third. In terms of my driver of the day, for me personally, I'm actually gonna give it to Hulkenberger actually. I think to avoid penalties, if that's indeed what he did do, was a superb effort. And he got rewards of it. P4 in the end. Didn't look the quickest driver throughout the race. Spent a lot of time defending, but defended very well and really kept it clean and tidy and got an excellent result out of it. So just shows that you don't have to be the quickest driver in a race to score an excellent result, and Hulkenberger really demonstrated that brilliantly this evening. So yeah, he's my driver of the day. The title is set up absolutely perfectly for Austin next week. I hope you can join me for that. It's going to be absolute thriller. Same time next week, 8 PM GMT, here on the PlayStationGL YouTube channel. My name's been Jake. I hope you've all enjoyed the stream, and until next week, I'll catch you on the flip side.